Hi everyone, and welcome back to Awriting Guy. What to do when you're tired, out of ideas, but you still can't stop? After doing this for quite some time, I do think this happens to all of us, and there's a very specific kind of exhaustion that doesn't get talked about enough. Not the burnout that forces you to collapse, not the breakdown that makes people notice, not the crisis that demands a sabbatical. I'm talking about the in between, the dragging fog, the state where you're still showing up, still replying to texts, still hitting publish on your work, but in your gut, that something is slipping. The spark is gone, the words don't land the same, the mornings feel heavier, the caffeine hits weaker. You keep working, not because you're inspired, but because stopping feels irresponsible. There are bills, there are expectations, there's momentum, there's the fear that one day one off turns into 10 and 10 turns into a total unraveling. So you keep going, and in the name of responsibility, you slowly start betraying yourself. This is the trap. You're too committed to stop, and you're too depleted to care. There's a myth about a sustainable side hustle. The idea that you can work 100% every day is a lie, but it's a lie with a six-figure aesthetics and a motivational caption. We praise consistency. I do as well. But I rarely ask consistency at what cost. Social media made us believe that to be successful, you need to grind forever, that rest is for the undisciplined, that falling off is the worst sin you could commit. But let me tell you what's worse than falling off is to stay on the treadmill while your legs give out. We all do it because the alternative, resting, quitting, slowing down, feels like weakness. So we fake strength, we post through the fatigue, we joke about burnout like it's a personality trait, all while losing the very thing that made our work worth doing in the first place, heart. As anyone who's been tired for more than a few months, and they'll tell you that the damage isn't loud. It's subtle. It shows up in the five drafts you never finish, the texts you leave unread for days, the dinner plans you keep postponing, the people you think you really want to see but you don't want to see them, the way you flinch when someone asks, "How are you?" It shows up in your relationships, in your posture, in the way your joy feels forced. This isn't about laziness. This is about emotional debt. You've been overdrafting your energy for so long, you don't even notice it anymore. But your body does. Your creativity does. Your spirit absolutely does. And if you don't address it now, it will find a way to stop you later. Of course, people will say, but I can't let go. This is the anchor phrase. The sentence I hear from myself, from men, women, creators, parents, teachers, leaders. I'm exhausted, but I can't stop. Too many people are counting on me. This sentence is always delivered like a confession, but underneath it, there's a story about identity being tied to usefulness, a story about fear of being forgotten, a story about needing to be the strong one because no one else was growing up. We wear obligations like armor. It makes us feel needed. It gives us a reason to keep going. But obligation, when weaponized against yourself, becomes a slow suicide. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't parent, can create, build, love, or lead from a place of chronic depletion. And yet we try because stopping feels like abandonment. Now, responsibility and responsible feel like two big words. And yes, they are big words. We've been taught that being responsible means doing the hard thing no matter what. But that's incomplete. Being responsible also means knowing when to adjust and making sure that you last. If a man made decisions that led a company to bankruptcy, we would call them reckless. But if an adult works himself into illness for the sake of deadlines, we call them dedicated. That's not dedication, that's the Lulu, as the kids say these days. True responsibility is like designing a life you can maintain, one that making sure that your energy level, not just your output, are being maintained as an optimal level. I would say a good definition of responsibility would sound something like this. It isn't just about staying in motion, it's knowing how to pause without collapsing. There's a secret skill that the most resilient people I know have mastered. It's not productivity, it's not ambition, it's the ability to scale down without falling apart. They don't disappear when life gets hard, they downshift. You shouldn't quit, of course. You shouldn't ghost, and you shouldn't really burn yourself out. Just give yourself permission to run on 30-40% without shame. Think about it like this. Your phone has a battery saver mode. Plane cruises at lower speeds once they are airborne. And even athletes take rest days. But us, we expect to sprint uphill every season forever. Is that really okay? So, what can I keep doing consistently without damaging myself? Say, publishing once a week instead of daily. I'll get back to you in 72 hours instead of replying instantly. Reposting your content instead of creating new stuff from scratch. Switching from output into input focus. Choosing nourishing over impressive. And nobody will send you a trophy for this. You won't go viral. It won't feel like growth, but it's how you stay in the game long enough to grow later. So, how to feed your fire without fuel? Let's say your drive is shot. No ideas, no spark, everything feels meh. And yet the deadlines still exist. The expectations didn't get the memo. You're empty. So, how do you create when you're depleted? Now, Please do understand this. Creativity isn't born from pressure, it's born from intake. So if you're out of breath, you can't make magic, but you can make momentum. So if you are a creative professionals or you're doing something that relates to making new things, um, I have five perhaps methods to say get that spark ignites again. So first is to steal already existing structure, templates, formulas, prompts, use them. They're not less authentic, they're lifeline. They'll give you something feeds into that and you can make something from your own. Next is to limit your canvas. Instead of a full-on 4,000 words essay, scale it down a bit to say 3 sentences, a paragraph, or even just a sentence a day. Next is to borrow other people's energy. Watch a documentary, read a memoir, ask a friend, what's something you wish more people understood? And it's a shortcut to get an idea going. Reuse your past. Yeah, we've all achieved something, even though some of us denies it, downplay it down. You've said brilliant things before, go back, look at your albums. Perhaps a new caption would be taken out of there. Finally, quit trying to be clever and be honest. Above all, please remove all the pressure to be profound. Not everything needs to be godsend. You don't have to be fluent everything at every sentence and every word. We can stutter. We can take deep breath. We can start talking again. And finally, here's something that no one tells you when you're tired. Resting is still work. Pausing is still progress. And recovery is still strategy. But we don't block that. We don't show it on the gram. There's no calendar event for laid on the couch. And remember that I'm not a robot. There's no LinkedIn post about finally took a nap and realized my entire sense of worth was building on proving I could outwork everyone. So you start to believe you're failing, but really you can heal yourself up a bit and you can start walking again. It's hard to trust, especially in a world that only claps for monetary value and numbered results. But get some rest. Finally, you're not just scared being tired, you're scared of being irrelevant. Someone else would be taking your place eventually. More and more creators are popping up. They learned from your past mistakes, they made something bigger than you. They also face the same pressure. We always fear about being forgotten and lose everything we've built. So most of us keep pushing long after the tank is empty. But after doing this for quite some time, you can't be replaced if you're irreplaceable, even though the world say that you are replaceable. Any job related positions, people can replace you. But then for some people, your kind of content is unique. What you put out to the world is made up by yourself. No AI, no other new creator can replicate that. So what makes you irreplaceable? It isn't frequency, or hustle. It's your voice, it's your clarity, and it's your presence. So go slower. Trust that you're building depth, not just reach. The race is pretty long, and the winners aren't the ones who sprint early. They're the ones who learn how to pace themselves. So finally, please be healthy in perspective of your ambitions. You have your limits, so take that into considerations. Adapts to your seasons, includes joy and relationships in your success metric. Say, let's go of the people that drags you down and making sure that they are not pulling you away from your goals. So please do remind yourself this. I want to build things I'm proud of without becoming someone I can't stand. Alright, finally, sometimes you feel like you're not doing work, and if you've made it this far, just remember that you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not behind, you're just tired, you're just growing. You're just learning what it means to be sustainable instead of successful. And maybe the bravest thing you can do today is not to grind through another task, but to ask yourself, what would it look like to show up today like someone who deserves to rest and still belongs here? Thank you guys for listening to my rant. And for more fountain pens and articles similar to this, please visit awritingguy.com. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.